My mother-in-law moved my sleeping baby from his crib into her bed against our explicit instructions, then called me an unfit mother when I got upset. So I did this at family dinner, and I woke up to 28 missed calls throwaway because my husband knows my main, and I'm honestly too exhausted to deal with him finding this. I, female 32, don't even know where to start. I guess with the basics. My husband Nathan, male 34, and I have a 4-month-old son, Ethan, who was born 5 weeks premature with some minor respiratory issues. He's doing so much better now, but still needs extra careful monitoring, especially with sleep stuff. I'm a pediatric nurse, so I'm probably more paranoid than most new moms, though I don't think it's paranoia when there's actual medical reasons, but whatever. Our pediatrician, Dr. Caroline, has been super clear that for Ethan specifically, safe sleep is non-negotiable. He sleeps only in his crib, on his back, no blankets, no pillows, no stuffed animals, nothing, period. I follow this religiously because, I've literally seen what happens when these rules aren't followed and I'm not risking my baby's life. So my mother-in-law, Sheila, female 63, is a retired elementary school teacher who thinks she knows everything about children because she raised 3 kids in the 80s, 90s, and taught for 30 years. She's been getting more and more critical of our overly cautious modern parenting, her exact words, every time she visits. She constantly brings up how she raised Nathan and his siblings without all these ridiculous rules, and they all survived just fine. I once caught her literally rolling her eyes during a video call when I mentioned sterilizing bottles. Seriously. Anyway, Sheila and father-in-law Harold, male, 65, were visiting this weekend. Their 3rd visit in 2 months despite living 3 hours away. I spent 3 hours cleaning before they arrived, while running on literally 2 hours of sleep. Ethan's been cluster feeding, and I'm basically a zombie. So yesterday, after not having showered for 3 days, I've been living in the same milk-stained nursing top, glamorous, I know. I asked Sheila to watch Ethan while I took a quick shower. Nathan had gone to the pharmacy to pick up Ethan's reflux medicine. I explicitly reminded Sheila about the sleep rules. I told her to just rock him in the nursery chair if he gets fussy and emphasized not to put him down to sleep anywhere but his crib, on his back, with nothing else in there. She nodded and said she knew in that dismissive tone she always uses with me. So I take my shower, first time feeling human in days, come out 15 minutes later and head to the nursery expecting to see Sheila in the rocking chair with Ethan. The nursery is empty. I call out for Sheila, no answer. My heart immediately starts racing. I check the living room, the kitchen, nothing. Then I hear soft humming coming from the guest bedroom. I open the door and I literally almost had a heart attack. Sheila was lying in the guest bed with Ethan asleep on her chest, surrounded by decorative pillows and a thick comforter. Exactly the situation that can cause SIDS, especially in premature babies with respiratory issues. I gasped loudly, which startled both Sheila and Ethan. Ethan started crying as I rushed over to take him from her. And Sheila, she looked annoyed, not apologetic, annoyed. She actually said, "Now look what you've done," like I was the one creating a problem. I tried to calmly explain, though I was shaking so bad I could barely talk, about SIDS risks, especially for preemies, citing my nursing background and what Dr. Caroline has told us 100 times. Sheila got defensive, telling me he was fussy and that this was how she got Nathan to sleep. She claimed he was fine and sleeping better than he ever does in what she called his prison crib. She then called me, and I'm not exaggerating, an anxious, controlling, unfit mother who's denying the baby comfort and family bonding. She said I was using those medical excuses to keep her grandson from having a real relationship with her. Nathan walked in during this argument, and instead of backing me up, he tried to keep peace, saying stuff like, "Mom was just trying to help," and "maybe we are being a bit extreme." I was so upset. This isn't about being extreme, it's about our baby's safety. For the record, I usually avoid confrontation at all costs. At work, I'm known as the peacekeeper nurse, but when it comes to patient safety, I've stood up to doctors when necessary. This felt no different. We have a big family dinner planned at Sheila and Harold's house next weekend, where the extended family will meet Ethan for the first time. I'm honestly dreading it now. Nathan keeps saying, "Everything will be fine," which I guess means he thinks his mom will suddenly start respecting our rules. Not likely. I know sleep rules have changed a lot since our parents' generation. My own mom has made some comments too, but at least she listens when I explain why. But given Ethan's prematurity and breathing issues, I don't think I'm being unreasonable. But the way everyone reacted makes me feel like I'm being some kind of control freak. Am I overreacting about this whole thing? Should I just let it go to keep the peace? I mean, nothing bad happened this time, but I'm terrified about what could happen next time she decides she knows better than his doctors. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. To clarify some common questions. 1. Yes, Nathan knows about Ethan's specific medical needs and was present for all the discussions with Dr. Caroline too. No, this isn't the first time Sheila has ignored our parenting decisions, but it's the most dangerous instance. 3. Several people have asked if I've talked to Nathan about how hurt I was by his response. Not yet. I've been too upset and exhausted to have that conversation. 4. For those suggesting I never let her watch him again, that's probably the plan going forward. But it's complicated because Nathan thinks I'm overreacting. Edit 2. Wow, this blew up more than I expected. Sheila hasn't apologized. She's been sending passive-aggressive texts to Nathan about how some people aren't comfortable with experienced grandmothers helping. Edit 3. A lot of you are saying I should skip the family dinner. I wish I could, but Nathan is really pushing for us to go, saying it would create more drama to cancel. And honestly, I'm not the type to bail on family obligations, even though I really want to right now. I don't know. Maybe this is a hill worth dying on. Now for the first update. Okay, first, seriously, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. I was honestly starting to feel like I was losing my mind. Showing some of your comments to Nathan did help a little, but then everything just got so much worse this week. Sorry in advance for how long this is. I'm really tired and I can't organize my thoughts properly. I haven't slept more than 2 consecutive hours in I don't even know how long anymore. So after the whole Sheila put my premature baby in an unsafe pillow and blanket situation incident, Nathan and I have been fighting basically nonstop. Well, not exactly fighting. More like me trying to get him to understand why I'm upset, and him saying stuff like, I know mom was wrong, but there's always a but. But she was just trying to help. But she raised 3 kids. But nothing happened. But she's sensitive about her grandma skills. I swear to God, if I hear one more but, I might actually scream directly into his face. Oh, and get this. 2 days ago, my phone fell in the toilet during a diaper change. So I borrowed Nathan's phone to order dinner and saw he had 47 unread texts from his mom. Obviously, I looked. I know some people will say that's an invasion of privacy or whatever, but I was literally covered in baby poop and needed food, so just save your judgment, guys. The texts, I can't even. She's been messaging him nonstop saying I'm obsessive and controlling and that I'm keeping her grandson from having normal family relationships. And my personal favorite, using medical excuses to control everyone. Medical excuses. Like our son's actual medical needs are just something I made up for fun. I'm so furious I can barely type this. When I confronted Nathan about it, he got defensive and claimed he was just letting his mom vent without encouraging her. But his responses showed otherwise. He was saying things to validate her complaints while making excuses for my behavior. I spent most of this week researching infant safety statistics and SIDS risk factors. I told myself it was just to be informed, but honestly, I was getting ready to defend myself. I printed out 20 articles, highlighted the important parts, and made copies. We had Ethan's checkup with Dr. Caroline yesterday, and she asked how family support was going, and I just broke down, full-on ugly crying in the exam room. It was so embarrassing, but actually kind of helpful, because Dr. Caroline told me she had similar issues with her mother-in-law when her kids were babies. She told me about her own mother-in-law issues, including how her mother-in-law would secretly put cereal in her newborn's bottle, and how important it was to set firm boundaries. Dr. Caroline was amazing and wrote up official medical documentation about Ethan's specific respiratory concerns and safe sleep requirements, just in case. Nathan's been super distant all week, coming home late from work, falling asleep on the couch watching basketball. He says it's because of some project deadline, but I think he's avoiding talking about the dinner at his parents' house tomorrow. Sheila has called every single day this week with updates about the family dinner. Apparently, Nathan's aunt Kylie is coming, who I've never met, plus his cousin Phil and his pregnant wife, and his sister Sabrina, who thinks I'm stuck up because I didn't want a bachelorette party with strippers. Sheila keeps mentioning how excited everyone is to finally hold the baby, which is making my anxiety spiral. I found out from Nathan's brother Joshua that she's been telling family members I'm neurotic and won't let anyone near the baby. So I'm walking into a room of people who already think I'm a controlling bitch. Awesome. Last night, I finally cornered Nathan and begged him to back me up if his mom criticizes my parenting tomorrow. He literally sighed like I was asking for something unreasonable and asked if we could just get through one family gathering without problems. I was so hurt, I almost started crying again. I asked if he thought I was the one causing problems. He claimed that wasn't what he meant, but when I asked what he actually did mean, he just didn't answer. So I tried a different approach and asked directly if he agreed his mother was wrong to move Ethan to that unsafe pillow setup. He admitted she was wrong, but immediately excused her by saying she didn't mean harm, which was a useless response. I asked how he would feel if something had actually happened to Ethan. He just dismissed it by pointing out that nothing bad had occurred, as if that was the point. I pulled out my research. Yes, I keep it in the diaper bag now. I've become that person, and showed him the SIDS statistics for premature babies. He barely glanced at them and dismissed it by saying his mom raised 3 kids without problems. I reminded him that our son was premature with breathing issues, and he just walked away saying I was exaggerating the situation. I'm still so angry about that conversation I can barely think about it without my blood pressure shooting through the roof. So here we are. The dinner is in 3 hours. I packed 3 extra outfits for Ethan because anxiety, plus all my research papers and Dr. Caroline's note because I am prepared. Edit. For everyone asking if we've discussed what will happen if Sheila tries to take Ethan, kind of. Nathan just keeps saying, it'll be fine, which is literally the least helpful response possible. Edit 2. To the person who suggested I skip the dinner, believe me, I want to. But Nathan says that would just make things worse and confirm what his mom thinks about me. Also, I'm not the type to bail on family obligations, even when I really want to. Edit 3. Thank you for all the supportive comments. And yes, for those asking, I've made it very clear to Nathan that no one is to put Ethan down to sleep anywhere but his carrier or in my arms. We'll see if that actually happens. Edit 4. We just arrived and I'm typing this from the bathroom. Sheila hugged Nathan for like 5 minutes, cooed over Ethan for another 5, and barely acknowledged my existence. This is going to be a long night. Edit 5. For those asking about pumped milk, yes, I have some. No, I don't trust Sheila to feed him without me watching. Definitely not after last time. Edit 6. Okay, so we've been here for about an hour, and Sheila has made 4 comments about paranoid first-time mothers and how children need to build immunity by being exposed to real life. Nathan is pretending not to hear any of it. She keeps taking Ethan whenever he makes the slightest noise, saying things like, "Let me show you how it's done," and "He just needs his grandma." I'm literally sitting on my hands to keep from snatching him back. Also, I misread Nathan's cousin Phil completely. Turns out his wife is pregnant, and he was asking genuine questions about premature babies, not judging me. I feel kind of bad for being short with him now. Oh my freaking God, guys. Sheila just proudly announced she set up her old family cradle for Ethan to use during visits. She's showing everyone pictures of it on her phone with all these special blankets and decorative pillows she bought to make it cozy, just like babies need. She just suggested taking Ethan upstairs to put him down for a nap in it right now, saying loudly to everyone that maybe he'd actually sleep well without all those restrictive modern rules. I looked at Nathan, and he just had this uncomfortable expression but said nothing. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Something inside me just snapped. I'm about to do something that will probably cause a complete family meltdown, but I don't care anymore. This is about my son's safety, and if no one else is going to protect him, then I will. Wish me luck. Now for the second update. So a lot has happened since my last post, where I said I was about to do something that would probably cause a complete family meltdown at my in-laws' dinner. I wasn't exaggerating. Buckle up, because this is going to be long. Sorry in advance for any typos. I'm typing this one-handed while Ethan sleeps on my chest. Yes, I know the irony of me holding him while he sleeps after everything, but I'm literally staring at him the entire time and fully awake, not how Sheila was doing it. So I was sitting there at dinner watching Sheila parade around with my baby, showing him off to everyone, while making these passive-aggressive comments about paranoid first-time mothers, and I was trying so hard to keep my cool. Like, my jaw literally hurt from clenching it. The whole house was covered in photos of Nathan as a baby, but I noticed there wasn't a single one of our wedding photos that we gave them last Christmas. When I mentioned it later, Sheila was like, "Oh, those got misplaced during redecorating," which is complete BS because nothing gets misplaced in that woman's house. She color codes her spice rack, for God's sake. Anyway, I was sitting there at dinner, which I barely touched, by the way, while Sheila was basically telling everyone stories about how she raised 3 perfect children without all these modern safety contraptions, while giving me these pointed looks every 5 seconds. I kept checking my phone under the table because my sister Emma was texting me encouragement. She went through similar stuff with her mother-in-law, so she gets it. Oh, and I totally misread Nathan's cousin Phil. His wife is pregnant, and he was asking genuinely interested questions about premature babies because they're worried about potential complications. I feel kind of bad about being short with him now. Sorry, Phil, if you somehow find this. I know I always say I never let my emotions control my actions. My nursing supervisor literally gave me an award for grace under pressure last year. But I had been mentally rehearsing what to say to Sheila for days. Like in the shower, while feeding Ethan, while trying to fall asleep. I kept going over different scenarios in my head. So then comes the moment that pushed me over the edge. Sheila announces to the entire table that she's prepared her old family cradle for Ethan to use during visits. She's showing everyone pictures on her phone of this antique wooden cradle filled with like 5 handmade quilts and decorative pillows and a crocheted bumper. Literally everything that's against safe sleep guidelines. And then she has the audacity to suggest taking Ethan upstairs right then to put him down for a nap in it. She reached for Ethan and said something about showing him how babies are supposed to sleep, not in the prison crib I make him use. I looked at Nathan, expecting him to finally say something, and he just had this uncomfortable expression but said nothing. Something inside me just snapped. I swear I could physically feel it. So here's what happened next. And yes, I was 100% prepared for this moment. I stood up and very calmly, at least I think I was calm, I was shaking so bad inside, asked for everyone's attention. I thanked them all for coming to meet Ethan and said I appreciated family support. I explained that as both a new mother and a pediatric nurse, infant safety was my absolute top priority, especially given Ethan's prematurity and respiratory issues. Sheila immediately interrupted and made a comment about medical excuses while rolling her eyes at Harold. That's when I pulled out the printouts of current AAP safe sleep guidelines from my diaper bag. Yes, I literally had them ready, and yes, I know how crazy that sounds, but I knew this would happen. I handed them around the table and specifically pointed out the sections about premature babies and SIDS risks. Then I took out my phone and showed them the pictures I took of the unsafe sleep situation Sheila created last week. I took them before I woke her up because I knew I'd need proof someday. Sheila gasped and accused me of invading her privacy by taking pictures. Then I played the recording from our baby monitor where you can clearly hear me telling Sheila about the sleep rules and her agreeing to them before I got in the shower. And then it continues with her immediately saying, "Such ridiculous rules," after I left the room. I read aloud the text where she called me an unfit mother and showed everyone Dr. Caroline's medical note about Ethan's specific respiratory concerns. I pulled out the statistics on SIDS in premature infants. At this point, I probably looked absolutely insane with all my papers, but I didn't care anymore. Sheila burst into tears, claiming I was being cruel and turning everyone against her, and how I was publicly humiliating her. I told everyone as calmly as I could that going forward, Sheila would have no unsupervised time with Ethan until she demonstrated respect for our parenting decisions and completed an infant CPR and safe sleep class. The room went completely silent, like you could hear the clock ticking. Nathan was just sitting there looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. He couldn't even look at me or his mom. Sheila started full-on sobbing, saying I was destroying our family and using that medical nonsense to keep my grandson from me. Harold was trying to comfort her while giving me the dirtiest look and muttering something about ungrateful daughters-in-law. We left pretty quickly after that. I just grabbed Ethan's diaper bag and carrier and headed for the door. Nathan followed without saying anything. No one even said goodbye. They were all too shocked. The car ride home was so tense. Nathan was initially really upset about me making a scene, his words, but I pointed out that we'd tried private conversations multiple times, and Sheila just ignored us. He didn't have much to say to that. We went to bed still kind of processing everything. Nathan slept in the guest room saying he needed space to think, which hurt, but honestly, I was too exhausted to even argue about it. I was up with Ethan like 4 times that night, cluster feeding again, and finally fell into a deep sleep around 4 a.m. I didn't hear my phone buzzing non-stop for the next 2 hours. When I woke up at 6 to check on Ethan, I had 28 missed calls from various family members. 12 from Sheila alternating between rage and tearful victimhood, 5 from Harold demanding I apologize to Sheila, 3 supportive calls from Nathan's brother Joshua, who has always been the reasonable one in that family, 4 angry calls from Nathan's sister Sabrina saying I ruined family dinner, 3 calls from various extended family members taking sides. But the most surprising one was from Nathan's Aunt Kylie, Sheila's sister. I'd never met her before the dinner, but she left this long emotional message about how she lost a baby to SIDS 30 years ago. She was completely supportive of me and said she'd wished she'd known then what we know now about safe sleep. That message from Kylie changed everything. She reached out to Sheila personally to explain the real dangers from her own personal tragedy. Hearing about SIDS from someone she trusted, especially someone who had experienced it, made it real for Sheila in a way that all my medical information couldn't. Nathan listened to Kylie's message too, and it finally made him understand why I was so adamant about the sleep rules. He called his mom that day and actually set firm boundaries. I was literally in shock hearing him do this. It's been about 2 weeks since the dinner disaster, and surprisingly, things are better. Sheila sent me a handwritten letter apologizing for endangering Ethan. She admitted she felt rejected when her childcare advice wasn't wanted, which I can understand, even if it doesn't excuse her behavior, and asked for a second chance with supervised visits. We met up with her last weekend at a neutral place, coffee shop, and she brought proof that she'd enrolled in an infant CPR class. She actually cried and acknowledged she'd been wrong, which I never thought I'd see from this woman. I'm not saying everything is perfect now. Our relationship is still pretty strained and probably will be for a while, but Sheila now follows all our safety guidelines to the letter and even corrected Harold when he suggested letting Ethan sleep in the car seat, which is another unsafe sleep situation a lot of people don't know about. So yeah, my dramatic dinner confrontation was definitely uncomfortable, but it forced necessary changes that honestly might have saved Ethan's life. Like, what if Sheila had put him down for naps unsupervised in that death trap cradle? The thought makes me sick. Nathan and I are now in couples counseling to improve our communication. His idea, actually, which shocked me. I've learned that sometimes you have to create uncomfortable moments to protect what matters most. And Nathan's learning that keeping the peace isn't always the right move when safety is involved. Edit. Thank you all so much for the support on my previous posts. I really think your comments helped me find the courage to stand up for Ethan when I needed to. Edit 2. To answer some common questions. Yes, I did record our conversation through the baby monitor on purpose. I wasn't planning to use it, but wanted it just in case. In my state, it's legal to record conversations you're part of. No, I don't regret confronting Sheila publicly. I tried private conversations multiple times and they didn't work. For everyone asking how Nathan is now, he's stepped up a lot. He admitted he was trying to please everyone, which ended up pleasing no one. He's been much more supportive since. Edit 3. Some of you have pointed out that bringing all those papers made me look psycho. Yeah, I know how it looked, lol. But honestly, I don't care. When it comes to my baby's safety, I'll gladly be the psycho mom, if that's what it takes. Edit 4. For those saying I should go no contact with Sheila, I considered it, but I believe her apology was genuine. People can change when properly educated, and Aunt Kylie's story really impacted her. We're taking things very slowly with supervised visits only. Edit 5. Someone asked if I'm still angry at Nathan for not backing me up initially. Yes and no. We're working through it in counseling. He's admitted he was wrong and is trying to make amends, which counts for something.